I know I'm even greasier than usual right now, but it's not cause for concern, no reason to be alarmed. The explanation's pretty simple. It's Thursday, which means it was pickup basketball day, a sacred day. And in the words of the wise Uncle Ben, with great basketball comes great smells. And brother, do I reek something fierce. I smell like 3 warthogs that rolled around in a barrel of ammonia. But I'm not here to really focus on my stellar basketball performance, absolute superstar day, going 3 for 3 from NBA range, as well as finishing pretty much all of my drives in triumphant fashion with some of the best floaters this business has ever seen, and also lockdown defense, the likes of which hasn't been seen since the great Muggsy Bogues. But again, I'm not here to talk about basketball. What I'm here to focus on is the quality of animation that we've been blessed with over the last few years. I'm very passionate about animation. My first major going into college was digital arts because I wanted to get into the animation field, and realized that I was completely talentless when it comes to all of that, and shortly thereafter abandoned it 2 years later. Going into my junior year of college, I just had a come to Jesus moment where I realized I was complete dog shit at it. Every little animated piece I made throughout my college career was absolute trash. The best thing I produced was a 3D manatee that I modeled in Maya and spun around, but every single edge on it was so sharp, like just daggers coming off of the manatee because I didn't know how to smooth it out properly. The thing ended up looking like Lara Croft's tits on the PS1. It was awful. So I gave up that major, but I never gave up the passion with animations, which is why you see so often that I have animated videos that I commission from very talented studios like Sikowski Studios, for example, for things like Plague Seeker and Godslap, and music videos like Skynut and Perfect Oblivion. I just love animation, and I am completely blown away by the state of it. We are getting absolute treats, like the tastiest sweets of all time, delivered to us every week with animated shows, animated movies. It's just incredible how good animation has become in the modern age. And I'm talking about animation in the broadest possible sense, the entire kit and caboodle. Anime, traditional Western cartoons, animated features, 3D animation, and even independent animations, like even YouTubers are reaching this level of polish that is just unheard of, at least in the entire time that I've existed in this corporeal realm. The quality of these productions is just so fucking impressive now. And I do think we're reaching this point where we've collected the goddamn animation Infinity Stone and we're releasing masterpieces all the time. And I'm just so happy for it. There was this dark period of time where, for maybe a few years in the early 2010s or a little before that, the mainstream consciousness used to write off animated productions like anime or cartoons or animated features as being predominantly just for kids. And now we're finally, opening our third eye, activating the Sharingan, and realizing that, no, animation is just a medium that is conducive to storytelling for any age. And it's fucking beautiful. It can convey things that live action never can, never couldn't possibly. It's just such a fucking amazing medium that we're finally really unlocking new potential for. Especially when it comes to animated features, and I think that's in no small part thanks to the Spider-Verse. Into the Spider-Verse was a game changer, an absolute fucking game changer. It reinvigorated the public's appreciation for the art of animation, I feel personally. Because let's look at what's happened post Spider-Verse. We've had other incredible animated productions that have come out that have really taken pages out of their playbook and gone with it, grown with it, like Puss in Boots 2, for example. And Across the Spider-Verse just came out recently and fucking did it all again. It said, like King Neptune with the Krabby Patty. That was so good, I want to try it a second time. And it did. It fucking blew everyone's ass off again with how beautiful it was. So everything in the animated field is just continuously getting elevated. And I'm not just talking about features, I'm talking about shows as well. Like, in particular, let's talk about anime. Anime is an industry that has exploded in popularity over the last decade, and with this rise in popularity, there's been a rise in quality as well. Like, it really feels like we're in some kind of, battle between all of the animation studios in Japan, constantly trying to one-up each other on how hard they can go and how beautiful they can make something. And I'm not just talking about the big players like Mappa and Ufotable. There's new studios that are coming out here and like, hey guys, we want a spot at the table too. We brought our own picnic basket. Let's fucking ride. So Zom 100 is a new show from a new studio, at least from what I can tell, and it's fucking beautiful. Like, it looks incredible. Like, every anime that's coming out right now, for the most part, is really, really, really good. Like, in terms of its animated quality. I can't speak to how everyone's going to respond to, like, the stories and shit, but of most of the big anime that's coming out every season, all of them aren't really sparing any expense. They're not cutting any corners. They're just going fucking hog wild. Now, obviously, I do love and appreciate the anime, but I always think that the industry needs to change, and needs to change like now, immediately, because I'm sure most of you know this, the anime industry is kind of fucked up with how they treat their employees. Overworking, exhaustion, very low pay, like fucking damn near criminally low pay. A laundry list of problems in the industry that still aren't being fixed yet. Now, I do understand that there are efforts to improve it, and there are different studios that do it differently. There are good animation studios where a lot of the workers aren't getting worked to the point of near death and misery. Like, for example, I know Kyoto Animation is very well known for treating their employees with a lot of respect, and it's very highly regarded as being a good place to work, but that's not the norm, unfortunately, for a lot of these anime studios. Actual blood, sweat, and tears goes into these productions from the employees, fucking eyes bleeding from lack of sleep and overworking, like their soul is in it, because their soul is no longer in their body because they are getting absolutely blasted by these companies that aren't treating them well enough. That needs to change. I can only pray that as the industry continues to grow and evolve, they'll start treating the workers better and paying them better. Now, I don't want to just focus on that too hard. I've talked about that a lot on stream. I do want to just focus on the actual main topic, which is just appreciating the state of animation right now, honestly. But like it's only continuing to grow. Like, we're seeing more and more animated projects come out of studios, for example, like Cyberpunk Edge Runners, right? Like, a lot of studios are now looking at animation and like, yep, we want some of that. It's an industry that is only continuing to evolve, but it's not getting complacent. A lot of times when something blows up, they start to just kind of coast. They no longer look to innovate or, evolve the product itself. They're fine just riding that wave and trying to find ways of nickel and diming in order to improve their bottom line. That's not the case in animation. For example, Jujutsu Kaisen. Jujutsu Kaisen Season 1 was an absolute phenomenon for good reason. It's an incredible season. Every single fight in that show is unreal. It is just an absolutely beautiful show. And Season 2 just came out, and I would argue it's even better. Like the animation is even better somehow. Full disclosure, that's actually why I made this video today. It's what's inspired it. I caught up on Jujutsu Kaisen right before going to basketball, and that's probably what made me play so well. Watching Jujutsu Kaisen today fucking filled my body with so much testosterone it was oozing out of my pores. Every episode of Season 2 so far has been like watching a movie. In particular, the last 2 episodes. It's been like watching an entire full-length movie from the quality of it. Like, it's just... I just can't believe we're at that point where single episodes have the same level of quality as an animated feature. It's just... I love it. I really do. And like I'm saying, the point I'm making with Jujutsu Kaisen is, after Season 1, they could have just kind of coasted and kept that same level instead of pushing even further and going even harder. But they didn't. They didn't just stay there and just, hey, we're going to drop anchor here and just kind of hang out. Like, you guys are going to watch Jujutsu Kaisen regardless, so we're just going to capitalize off it. They said, fuck that. We're going to keep sailing, across the event horizon here. And they only made it better. At least in my opinion, I think they only made it better. So I'm just so happy to see that it's just constantly getting better instead of staying stagnant. Another easy example, and I've already mentioned it, Spider-Verse. Into the Spider-Verse, amazing. Across the Spider-Verse, arguably even better with its visuals, It's just, I'm just very happy, is all. That's really it. It's rare that I get super excited about things, but man, every animated show, movie, fucking, even on YouTube, every independent animator that I've watched recently, all of it is so fucking good. It's such good content. Also, I want to mention something real quick. We have been eating so well with animation recently that I think it's spoiled a lot of viewers a bit, and they can't really recognize what good animation is anymore because they're just so used to the best animation ever. So what I mean by this is they'll write off some things that aren't quite to that level of quality of something like a Jujutsu Kaisen or Demon Slayer or Attack on Titan or Castlevania. They'll write it off as being bad animation if it doesn't reach that level, which is just wrong. I have two examples for this. The first one is one that I think most of you are probably going to know is Invincible. Invincible is a great show. Most people like it because that shit slaps. It's an amazing show. But most of the criticism of it all came from its animation. They said it was poorly animated. At least a lot of people did. That was the main criticism. And I just totally disagree. I think that couldn't be further from the truth. It's very cartoony, yes, but it's also very dynamic. It's extremely fluid. All the fights are really cool, very gory, bloody, and it all looks good. All of it is very well animated. It is a very highly produced and well-made animation, but it is not quite to the same level of polish of something like a Castlevania, for example. But that doesn't mean it's bad. By comparison, it's not. It's still very good animation. And another example, a more recent one, is Hell's Paradise, an anime that just concluded about a month ago. It caught quite a bit of shit from people saying that it was poorly animated, which I just think is super wrong. It's animated by MAPPA, the same studio behind like Jujutsu Kaisen, Attack on Titan, and 1,000 other projects. They're picking up so many fucking projects right now. It's crazy. So their pedigree is demands a lot from viewers, it seems. And rightfully so, right? When you see MAPPA on it, you are expecting a certain level of quality. And I do think Hell's Paradise is a very high level of quality, but it's not MAPPA's best. It's not up there with the Jujutsu Kaisen. And since it didn't reach that level, people wrote it off as being bad animation, which I just don't think is right. I just really think you've been eating too well, and you've stopped being able to recognize good and bad animation. And if it's not the best animation, anything under that, you're just saying is shitty, which I think is just very unfair. I really do. There is still bad animation out there, sure, but things like Invincible and Hell's Paradise and others like that are not bad. Yes, they're not, the cream of the crop, the tippy top or anything, but they're still really good. They're still fucking beautiful. If those shows had come out like even 5 or 6 years ago, they would be looked at in the same way that Jujutsu Kaisen and Demon Slayer are looked at today. It's just everything has gotten that competitive in terms of animation quality now that you look at these and you're like, it's not up there with the best of the best, so it's bad. Like, people need to stop and take a step back and recognize, like, shit, this is still really good. Yes, it's not as good as the best, but still good, and I still can appreciate that. That's all. It's not that big of a deal. This is literally a fucking nothing burger. I just wanted to mention. I just always feel bad for shows like Invincible or Hell's Paradise. They get shit on for being bad animation when I think that's just so wrong. It's not. It's just really not. But yeah, overall, the main point of this video was I'm just so happy with the state of animation right now in terms of the quality that's being produced. I fucking love it. It's amazing. That's about it. See ya.